card here. I'm gonna set it right here in case I need to reference it. But in case you're wondering, my real name is Jamie Lee Green. I married into a really large Irish Catholic family. And my maiden name is Jamie Lee Balmer. And I was raised in a very multicultural family. I was adopted when I was 5 months old. And I grew up in a pretty white community. So when I was adopted, my adopted name is Ho Jin Lee. And I am really glad that I came to America and my name got changed because I just couldn't imagine being called Ho my whole entire life. And so, yeah, because I'm really not. I was a virgin when I got married, so far from it. Yeah, so being adopted, the number one question I get asked when people learn I'm adopted from Korea, they say, do you still speak the language? No. Or Ani, which is Korean for no, and I had to Google that this morning. So that's the very first question I get. The extent of my Korean vocabulary is 안녕하세요, which means hello, and 감사합니다, which means thank you. And when I go to Korean restaurants, it's more kimchi, please. So that's the very first question I get. The second one is South Korea, right? Not North Korea. And I'm like, yeah, South Korea. And they're like, oh man, what a relief. So, anyone here Bruce Lee fans? All right, yeah. My adopted dad, also known as my dad, is a big fan of Bruce Lee. And he's, still a big fan. But growing up, because my Korean last name is Lee, I would tell people I was related to Bruce Lee. And they totally bought it. They totally were like, no way, are you serious? That's so awesome. And I was like, because all people think Asians look alike. And I was like, he's Chinese. Bruce Lee is Chinese. But they still bought it. So, and then in middle school, I was a gymnast. And we were going to do a meet at the visitors, we were the visitors. So we were going to the opposing school. And I walk out with my team and I hear, hey, it's Christy Yamaguchi. And I'm like, dude, in my mind, I'm like, dude, she's Japanese. We look nothing alike. But I was really flattered because I was a huge Christy Yamaguchi fan. So, and they're both from the Bay Area, which is pretty amazing. So I had to put this whole, am I really Korean, I had to put that to rest. So I decided to take a DNA test. Not one, two, because the first one came back that I was 90% Eastern Asian. There's a lot of people in Asia. And then 10% Madagascaran. It might explain why I get really, really dark in the summer when I'm out laying by the poolside, and it might explain a little bit of the curly hair that I have, but it was really inconclusive to me, so I decided to do 23andMe, and it was much, much more definitive. So I was 96% Korean, 4% Japanese. So the whole Christy Yamaguchi thing began to make sense to me. And one thing that retired military men, they come up to me and they're like, start speaking to me in Korean. And I just look at them and I'm like, I no speak Korean. I speak English. And then they start talking about their fond memories of Korea, and I just go, oh my God, I have no frame of reference for this because I involuntarily came to America when I was 5 months old. But I let them talk, and then I explained to them I'm adopted, and they're like, oh, okay. So, one thing about Koreans, they don't have very big breasts. They don't. I can tell you, because I don't have very big ones. Have you guys seen any big-breasted Korean women walking down the street lately? They don't exist. They do not exist. I did find out, however, that after having kids, they get really big. Really, really big. I used to call them silver dollar pancakes when I was growing up because I was really insecure about my breast growing up next to all my white friends who had really big boobs when they hit puberty, and I was like, oh, I have silver dollar pancakes. I don't think they're getting any bigger. And I've never had any attention on my breasts until tonight. Like, all of you in this room are checking out my rack, and they're like, is she a B? I don't know. But I am. I'm barely a B. Maybe an A, but I'm barely a B. And after having my first child, they grew enormously. Like, I'm talking like a D cup. For all the women that know what a D cup is, that's pretty substantial. My milk came in, they got really rock hard until my son and I learned how to nurse, and they softened up and they were pretty awesome. So I decided to take a selfie so I could remember the enormousness of my breasts. And so a couple days later, we go to my in-laws' house to show, to let my in-laws visit their very first grandson. And this was 6 years ago, and at the time, my father-in-law was 77 years old. He has since passed, he's, bless his soul. But he was hard of hearing and hard of seeing. And at the time, I only had an iPhone 4S, which is really small on screen. And I was showing him some pictures of Kian, my son Kian, when he was born, and he takes the phone out of my hand, and he starts swiping to the right. Oh, and then I remembered, oh my God, this selfie. Thankfully I was wearing a bra, but swipe, stop. Oh my God. We didn't say anything. It was quiet, but we both understood what he had just seen. So, 3 kids later, my husband tried to convince me to have 12 more just so that the boobs would, kind of perpetuate, but I said, no, we're done with 3, and that is that. So, they're no longer silver dollar pancakes, they're more like flapjacks. My name is Jamie Ho Jin Lee Balmer Green. You've been a wonderful audience. Thank you very much.